today's webinar, what we're going to be doing, it's going to be a top agent interview with Lee Tefort. Lee, you've been with us for going on about a year and a half now, right?
Yeah, just about 18 months. Yeah.
18 months. Okay. All right. Very, very good. So Lee's been with us for a year and a half. Tremendous agent. He's building an agency. He's doing, he's recruiting, building his team. But in the meantime, what is so impressive, he's also a great personal producer, going out and making sales. I wanted to get Lee on because he's one of the guys, even through this COVID, has been working through it and has been innovative and just figuring out ways to make things happen. In other words, he hasn't put his head in the sand. He's learned to overcome and adapt and just figure stuff out. Now, this picture that you see, Lee is the handsome gentleman to your left. In this picture here, this is one of the meetings that we had down in South Florida, where Lee had received the Senior Solutions Rising Star Award. So again, congratulations for that accomplishment and receiving that award. But Lee, why don't you just take a minute and just very quickly kind of introduce yourself and then tell us what you've been doing. And then also we would, if you don't mind, I know we didn't really rehearse this, but I would like to just kind of go over, your phone script and just tell us what you're doing to continue to make sales. I know last week that you had great numbers. You had over 4,000 in premium. You're on the national leaderboard. So Lee, I'm going to turn it over to you for the brief introduction and just tell us about what you're doing, okay?
Yeah, sure. Just to introduce myself to everyone, I'm born and raised here in South Florida. I live in an area called the equestrian capital of the world, Wellington, Florida. And for the most part, I've been doing this with Joe, as he said, about a year and a half, and it's been one heck of a ride. I've never done insurance prior to this, and Joe's been a real mentor in helping me develop. I've never really done door-to-door sales, so that was nerve-wracking, but Joe helped me understand, these people put the time out to put these leads out there, and sure enough, it worked. Went out there, and I was addicted. Getting to people's houses and showing them this card and saying, hey, you filled this out, and I understand you've done this in the fact that you didn't want to leave a burden on your family. And people just let me in. And I just stick to that script, and it's been pretty cool. But then all of a sudden, man, and I don't know if you want to get into it now, but just COVID-19 kind of took my business from 100% to zero, almost a halt. Just couldn't do anything. And I had to get super creative. So you want me to start talking about how I did that, Joe? Or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man. So I tried some digital leads. I'm sure most of you have. That's been passed around. I didn't have much success, and that's probably because I'm not a very good cold caller. So I went ahead and gave it a try on the warm transfer leads, and then all of a sudden it was back on. It was like doing direct mail. You're getting.
Right, so tell us, hey Lee, so a lot of people don't, what's a digital lead? And then what is when you say a warm transfer, like some people on this call may be like, what do you do? Like, what's a warm transfer?
Okay, so through Senior Solutions, right now you can order two sets of leads. You can get the digital leads, which are right now I think they're like anywhere between $10 and $20. They're basically like Facebook leads, in my opinion. But there are people that supposedly requested final expense insurance or mortgage protection insurance, and they basically have the beneficiary, the amount that they were requesting, and the date that they requested it. So then you have a little bit of ammo, but when you call these people, they just assume you're. For me, I felt like they're assuming that I was a telemarketer, so it was a little challenge, and I just didn't see very much success. I got appointments, but then even then on the follow-up, it was almost near impossible to catch anybody.
Got it. Okay. And let me just add to that. I mean, the again with the digit with any lead, whether it's a digital lead, uh, a paper lead, a direct mail lead, dude, the hardest part is just getting hold of the client. Now when we're back to doing, regular face-to-face business, the great thing about um, direct mail leads is that you've got two ways to contact them. You can call them or you can go door knock them. So, and the awesome thing about door knocking is that there's no way for them to really like avoid you necessarily. You knock on someone's door, if they're home, 90% of the time they're going to answer their door to see who's there, which is really, really cool. Now, as a caveat, there are some parts of the country that are reopened. Just to let you guys know, we have agents right now that are out running full production, going to see clients. Like COVID-19 is not that his is not going on. And other parts of the country, like where Lee is in South Florida, like near the Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, that's where the majority of the cases are in Florida. It's a very highly populated area. So people are still a little bit freaked out down there. I live in the Chicago metro area. Our mayor, our governor, there's like, you know, it's pretty much, shut down. People don't want you to come to their house. But there's other parts of the country that where there really haven't been more, not necessarily rural, but more areas that are a little bit more laid back, where there really haven't been a lot of cases, smaller towns. Those places have really kind of gotten back, kind of back to normal. So just wanted to clarify on these digital leads. But again, the hardest part about a digital lead, even though they requested information, is that you is actually getting them on the phone to have a conversation. So Lee, I'll flip it back over to you.
Yeah, so that kind of segues right into the next lead. So I was getting, obviously this is with the aid of, knowing that the country's coming back on. I made an effort to go ahead and invest more into this. So I decided to try for the warm transfer leads.
Okay.
And that was pretty cool because what helped me then was those leads was someone that's live. And what's nice about it is the person transferring the client in asks the client, do you have time to speak with an agent about insurance right now? And they ask them the major medical questions in advance, such as heart attack, cancer, stroke. Um, and I believe they ask if they, if they do smoke. I think I mentioned
Yeah,
that.
they smoke. They also get their height and weight.
Yeah, they do get their height and weight. And also what's nice is they say the term. So if they're looking for $50,000, $25,000, it tells you. So then, I don't know if you want to role play real quick, Joe, just to kind of go through that.
I
Um,
do, but give me 1 second though. Tell us how those, like, where are these, like, explain where the leads are coming from, and then when you say they're transferred, like, how do you get the transfer? How does that work?
okay, so the vendor that you guys gave me, I've asked these questions when I signed up with them, and they said basically these are leads that are all over the internet from people filling out, and then there's a call center of like agents all over the country. So there's pockets of call centers um, that they're exclusive to them, and supposedly these people are doing the cold calling. So what I'm doing with the digital leads, they're doing, but obviously at a premium, and they get the clients on the phone and they scrub them. They re-verify all the questions, and then they transfer them over to me.
So your phone rings, like your phone rings, and then what happens?
A person picks up and they ask me, Mr. Telfort, are you in a position to take a caller now? And then I say yes. And then they say, okay, I have Joe Johnson on the line, and then they transfer you in. And
Okay,
this,
perfect. Okay, great. All right, go. All right, go ahead and go from there. tell us other information that you want, and then if you want, again, I know we didn't rehearse this, but if you're open to it, um, we could just kind of role play, and you could kind of go through how you close the deal on the phone. I'm sure everyone would like to hear that.
Yeah, we can do that. Totally. I mean, I'm open.
Okay, well,
Um,
before we do that, is there any other information you want to tell us?
yeah.
Um,
So the thing with these calls is what makes them very unique is that you're not just tied to final expense. You're getting clients that are from people that are still working, to people who just want to leave a legacy behind, to people who just want to protect their home or assets. So the biggest challenge is you really got to be on your game and knowing where you want to navigate the client because you can't be a product pusher. So you really got to have enough information to know what carrier that they can go to, and you can write a quote, and you can almost ensure that they'll probably get approved because they don't know you from Adam. So there's a lot of value that you got to kind of create very quickly that I'm finding. Um, so if I mention Mutual of Omaha, I'm already telling them, it's convertible to whole life. I'm letting them know there's a lot of value with Mutual of Omaha, their known brand. And then the clients are usually like, oh, yeah, I heard of them. And then I write them a quote. And then, ironically, once they kind of tie into that company, if I mention another company, 9 out of 10 times they just want to stay with Mutual of Omaha, just because it's a name they trust and they just want to stick with them. Does that make
yeah,
sense?
and yeah, it does. And I do the same thing. I mean, the thing, you want to build credibility with the client as soon as possible. And anytime, you throw out the name Mutual of Omaha, it automatically lends you credibility because, oh yeah, I know Mutual of Omaha. Oh, okay.
Right.
Um, and then
100%.
the cool thing too is, with Mutual of Omaha, I mean, they've got several different products that you can sell, uh, e-applications. And what's cool too is that with these leads, because these are digital leads, these are people that initiated the request for a quote for life insurance through the internet, which means they've already provided an email address. So when you're getting the leads, you're automatically not only getting a valid phone number, but you're getting a valid email address as well, which makes it easy to transition into the e-application.
100%. And yeah, so when you're getting all the information from the client, it's cool because you get the birthday, you get the height and weight, you get the address. I mean, you got everything to really just kind of already pre-fill the application, and then you just go right into health questions. So I kind of uniquely memorize some of the health questions. So I just start asking them off the top. You're not in a nursing home, correct? And they laugh. No, you don't have.
All right, so you want to role play it then? Let's hop right into that then. It sounds like we're ready for that. So let's assume that you got the call and they say, "Hey, I got Mr. Johnson on the phone. Do you have time?" Yeah. So how do you transition? How do you transition from, like, what's your introduction to me? And let's just role play through and get me from and give me I don't know if you have your software up, but if you can, potentially maybe even give me a quote, that'd be great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can do that. I mean,
Okay.
so typically, my phone would ring. The young lady would say, "Hey, my name's Angie. I got Mr. Joe Johnson here in Florida. He's looking for life insurance. Are you prepared to talk?" And I would say yes. And then she would say, "Great, Mr. Joe Johnson, Lee Telford is the agent. He'll be the one helping you. Both of you have a wonderful day." And then from there, I'll just say, "Hey, Joe, how you doing today?"
Oh, I'm doing fine. How are you?
Great. My name's Lee Telford. I'm a licensed agent here in Florida. I'm here to help you. I noticed that you're looking for $100,000 term for 20 years. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what I had put on in the internet. Correct.
Wonderful. Well, typically in South Florida, we use Mutual of Omaha. They're very reputable. A lot of people recognize them. Are you familiar with Mutual of Omaha?
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, I have. I know exactly who they are.
All right, very cool. So they're the ones I'm going to be running the quote with. You know, Joe, just out of curiosity, I ask this to everyone. What made you come to the conclusion you needed $100,000 for 20 years?
Oh, well, it was just kind of random, to be honest. Like I didn't know what to put in there, and 100,000 sounds like a pretty good amount.
Okay.
Um,
Well, now I noticed it was 20 years term also. Um, just to ask you, do you know the difference between term and whole life?
um, no, I mean they're both life insurance. I mean, I think whole life I think it maybe has cash value or something, but I really don't
So I'll
know the
explain it to you
difference.
like you're five, and that way we can hopefully make a good decision. So,
Okay.
when you look at renting a home, as you would imagine, it's much cheaper than owning a home. And that's the same to go with life insurance. So in that event, if you do 20 years term, it's like you're renting a home for 20 years. It's going to be much cheaper than if you were to purchase it. Wouldn't you agree?
I would think so, yeah.
Okay. So in life insurance, it'll cost more, but if you own it, what's nice is it builds equity. And just as a home builds equity, when you take that equity out when you need it, does a house lose value?
No,
So it's the same with the life insurance. You'll be able to build cash value, and if you need it for an emergency or take it out for anything in retirement, your death benefit still stays the same. You don't lose value. So that's why a lot of folks enjoy life insurance to own it because it's whole life and it has value. It's an asset. That makes sense?
it does, yeah.
All right. So what I'll do is, Joe, I'm going to go ahead and ask you another question. So with the $100,000, who's going to be the beneficiary?
It would be my wife.
Okay. So you're looking to make sure that she's taken care of when you when you pass.
Correct, yeah.
So if you don't come
Well, I
home
just
tomorrow,
don't want to leave my family with any debt is really what I mean, and I still have a daughter who is in grade school, so I mean, probably need some money for college, I guess too.
wow. So let's look at this. If you didn't come home yesterday, what are your bills right now every month that your wife would need to maintain?
Say, can you ask me that question again?
So I guess if you didn't come home yesterday, how much would your wife need to keep everything going?
You mean how much are bills? That's what you mean?
Yeah.
Um, I would say probably about 5,000.
Okay. So seeing that your daughter's in grade school, you probably want to get her out of college. But I can see why you would 20 years. But if I did 5,000 over 240, you would need about $1.2 million to maintain your lifestyle for the next 20 years. That's very shy of 100,000. Do you have a mortgage also that you'd like to have covered?
I do, yeah, I have a mortgage.
And how much would that be?
It's about 300,000.
So would you want her to keep paying the mortgage or would you want her to pay the house off?
Well, I mean, it depends on how much it is. I mean, I mean, my wife works too, so I mean, if I
Okay,
passed away, my wife would, I mean, she would still be working.
okay. So I guess she should could if as long as she had an income to provide for the next 20 years, maybe she could sell the house. We'll get creative, but the goal is to at least give her an income to help the kids get through grade school and college. You would agree?
Sure, yeah.
So if I stay with the same 20-year term, at a $5,000 a month, um, you know, liability, you're looking at $1.2 million over 20 years. That's how much it would cost. So it sounds like we almost would be underinsured. The 100,000 wouldn't really go far. So what I'll do is still keep you happy. I don't want to take a lot of your time. I'm going to go ahead and give you a quote for the 100,000, and then I'll also show you what 1.2 million looks like for 20 years. Is that fair?
Yeah, that sounds fair.
So Joe, how old are you today? I know I got your birthday, but can't do the math.
50.
Great. And how would you say your health is? Heart
Oh,
attack,
I'm
stroke, 10 years?
spectacular.
No diabetes.
No, I'm a specimen of health.
Specimen of health. All right, wonderful. Prime real estate.
Yeah,
So,
no medications. Go to the doctor. I mean, I'm a little chubby, but I'm not like skinny or anything, but I don't think I'm like overweight. And go to the doctor on a regular basis, and I'm on no prescription medication.
okay, wonderful. Well, what I'll do is I'll put you on preferred. You sound preferred, and I'll show you $100,000 for 20 years. That's 3453. You see, it's pretty. How do you feel about that?
$34 a month?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, that's
And
pretty cheap.
yeah, so let me show you what 1.2 million looks like to cover all your needs. Mm,
1.2, really that much?
No, no, no. That was for 100,000. Now I'm going to show you. If you decided to go for 1.2, you'd have to pony up, but it's $250.
250 a month?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What about 1 million?
You're looking at 210. So you only save $40.
Okay. The only thing I'm worried about is my job's a little shaky right now.
Okay.
What if we dropped it down to 500,000?
You know what I can do for you, Joe, is why don't we work with the budget if that helps? But it brings it in half. You're looking at 109.
Oh, I can do about 150.
Okay. So let me show you what 150 looks like. Let me just put that in versus the face amount. See what that looks like.
Lee, are you using term life answers?
I'm using term life answers. And the reason why is because I can do the Speedy Ticket now, and it's been working for me.
I will close me on the payment and then tell us about the speedy ticket.
Okay, I will. So, Joe, just looking, you're probably looking at about a $700,000 face amount, and that'll get you right around $151 a month.
Okay. All right. So I can do 150. So that would give me 700,000, really?
Yeah, so that'll take you out at least, 15, 17 years of income to help your
Why
wife.
is it so cheap? Because I've gotten other quotes from other people and like 100,000 was almost $100 a month. But then you're quoting me 700,000 for only 150. I don't know how you're doing that.
Well, the reason being is, Joe, being that it's 20 years, and also I know the rates have dropped with Mutual of Omaha. Typically, they just assume that you're going to likely outlive that, and they're not going to pay out. But they are able to price you where it's fair. You're looking at, for $700,000, it's going to be $150. Other carriers might not have the leeway to do that. So that's why I typically go with Mutual of Omaha. Does that answer your
Okay.
question?
It does. Okay. All right. Well, I've got the quote. I guess I'll just get back in touch with you and let you know.
Well, typically, Joe, how this works is we go ahead and apply. And the great thing is, right now, all the carriers, due to COVID-19, they're giving you 30 days to make your first payment. So I can go ahead and apply with you, take your information, and then see if we can get you approved. How's that sound?
Oh, okay. How long would that take?
Well, Joe, if you got another 10, 15 minutes, I can quickly get your info. All I need to do is go online and fill out your info and that of your beneficiary, get your banking, and then we're done. And then what will happen is you're going to get a phone call from a medical examiner from exam one. She's going to go ahead and ask you some medical health questions, and you're going to answer that. And once she gets that done, you're done. If they feel that they need to send out a nurse, they will. But based off what you told me, you should be fine.
Okay. So what you're saying, I don't have to do a physical exam then?
No, they're just doing a health questionnaire over the phone.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Then I would like to, if you can get me 700,000 for 150 a month, I'll take it.
Awesome. Well, let me go ahead and start that. And that's it, Joe. So typically, I pull up as you're talking, I already have the application up and I already started filling things out. So that I'm going right into to just the beneficiary payment, and then I send out the e-ticket or speedy ticket.
Okay. So Mutual of Omaha is now, are you saying Mutual of Omaha is like your go-to company?
No, really, depending on how I feel, and I know it sounds crazy, but if they sound like they're not really trusting me, like you know how people are short with you, like hey, yes, like they're very short answers, and you can tell they just want you off the phone. I
Yeah.
use Omaha out the gates to build credibility. Now, once I start whining and dining you, and you're like, man, 150 bucks, that's it. And so, you know, Joe, I just got in quote from National Life Group, and they're offering living benefits. And what these benefits mean is if you have a heart attack, cancer, stroke, Joe, they're actually going to end up giving you some of the death benefit ahead of you without you having to pass away. Would you like to look at what that looks like? And I
All
know,
right. So
yeah,
just to clarify, so you lead with Mutual of Omaha Term Life Answers because we know it's the cheapest.
right.
Then you, if the conversation's going good and, depending on how your rapport is with the client, at that point, you may also introduce another carrier, say, oh, to let you know, there's also another product that offers living benefits. Is that kind of how you do it?
That's exactly how I do it. And the
Okay.
reason being is because you still got to earn value, you got to earn trust. So now once I know they trust me, they're willing to start the application process, then I'm willing to open up my inventory. But if
Right.
short, I'm not going to lose a sale talking too much.
See, I
Yeah,
like getting your foot in the door with the cheapest premium because
right.
I got to be honest with you, when you gave me those quotes, I mean, like not, off script, I'm thinking to myself, damn, dude, that's pretty cheap. Like that's really affordable.
Yeah.
Um, so all right, that's good. Now tell us about the speedy ticket because I'm always used to dealing with term life answers that everybody has to get a paramed. Explain to us what the speedy ticket is and what's going on with that.
So with the Speedy Ticket, the reason I had to use it was because a lot of clients, once they hear Mutual of Omaha, as I told you, I think I've written like 4 or 5 deals already with them. They don't want to leave. So even if I mention living benefits, they're like, no, 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 I never heard of National Life Group or Transamerican. No, 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 I want to stay with Mutual of Omaha. It's okay. And I get that all the time. Like
Okay.
they bought me at Mutual of Omaha. They don't want to leave.
Yeah, no,
So
that I don't blame you, dude. I mean, dude, it's a good basic life insurance. And FYI, guys, you run a rate quote, man, Term Life Answers. I mean, that competes, dude. They're probably in the
they're
top
they're
five, right, for cheapest.
they are. I mean, the only person comes in less is National Life Group on their elite platform. But I mean, you got to be solid. You got to be really healthy.
Oh, the elite. Yeah, nobody gets elite, but
Nobody gets
yeah.
elite. But if you're like healthy and you have like a 700 credit score, yeah, you'll get elite, and then they'll beat Mutual of Omaha by like 10 or 20 bucks.
Okay,
But you got to be prime real estate and great financials. Um,
got it.
yeah, but besides that, I know that their preferred is within a dollar or two. So when I add the living benefits, it's exciting because I know they're going to get the same value. And I mean, they're going to get added value for the same price.
Got it. Okay. All right. Now explain what the speed e-ticket is.
So the speedy ticket, just to explain to you, I had to get trained on it. Mutual of Omaha allows term answers as long as the person you're not. There's a couple of stipulations. You can't be sharing the commission. So if it's a split deal, you can't do it. Um, the person has to be within a certain age. I think it's 65 and younger, and it has to be less than, I believe, $1 million.
Okay.
So as long as it's less than a million, see, I almost shot myself in the foot by asking for 1.2, but $1 million and less, you can just go put in all the general information, and then you hit submit, and it automatically electronically sends to exam one the application, and then their medical examiners will reach out to your client for you. and you don't have to do anything else.
Okay, so there's nothing you need to when you're submitting the e-application, there's nothing you need to do special to start the Speedy e-ticket.
Nope, you don't have to do anything.
Okay.
You just click it, and it goes through just like the regular pipeline applications. It does ask you for the banking on the upon approval, and when you want them to pay. But then that's it. It's out of your hands. And then Mutual of Omaha does a pretty good job at keeping in contact with you. You get emails that they received it. You get emails that they contacted your client. You get an email that they completed the medical questionnaire. And mines haven't needed a medical paramed, but I'm assured that if they did, they'd let me know.
Got it. Okay, and then you kind of too, depending on the client, you kind of prep them too to say that they may need a physical, but you're going to try to get it done without, or how do you?
Yeah, 100%. I tell them, I really milked the COVID-19 a lot in the conversation. I let them
Okay.
know, hey, due to COVID-19, Mutual of Omaha is allowing us to not have to send out a medical examiner, but we do require that you at least answer some mental health questions. And I'm sure you can appreciate in the event that they find something in your medical history, they may still send out a nurse. But again, those are extreme cases. I mean, you seem to tell me that you don't have anything hidden that you know of, so you should be fine.
Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. And then you sent me a text this morning. You said you closed the deal this morning.
Yeah, I did actually.
Was that
This
that must have been a follow up, right? It wasn't a live transfer.
that was a live transfer. I have my calls on as early as 7 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Well, tell us about, since you just made a sell, tell us about your most recent experience this morning.
So this was George Quineros. So strange situation. So my phone was on vibrate, right? Nightmare. Called me 3 times. So they'll actually call you 3 times to make sure you pick up. Couldn't get me on the horn. I don't know why I couldn't hear my phone vibrate. So I had to call the guy back. And he knew who I was immediately. And the reason being is I just told him, hey, George, this is Lee. I don't know what happened. It seems like every time we tried to call, we couldn't get connected.
Okay.
You got your information here. It looks like you were looking for $100,000 over 20 years term. And I went right into it. George is like, it was kind of funny. George lied. He's like, I didn't talk to anybody. And then once I told him it was $100,000, 20-year term, he's like, oh yeah. And I just went right into it. I said, George, what is the reason you feel that you need $100,000 for 20 years? And he said, well, I divorced my wife, and I don't want to leave her nothing, but I want to leave my daughter with something, and that's really it, a legacy. He doesn't have any bills, house paid. He just wants to leave her with some money. Anything wrong, Joe?
And what did you quote him? What was the rate?
So I put him at standard. I wouldn't dare put him preferred because I'm sure something's gonna pop up. But remember, I always ask those questions: heart attack, cancer, high blood pressure, diabetes. He has diabetes. He's 56 years old. He got diabetes when he was 53. Because of the massive weight loss, his A1C is back to 5, and he's no longer considered diabetic.
Oh, okay.
So while he was sharing all that good stuff, I said, hey, did you know there's a company? They're called National Life Group. They got living benefits, heart attack, cancer, stroke. They're going to take care of you. Now, here's a guy who probably got a very jury news probably last year that he could potentially die. That's why he's on extensive diet and to lose weight.
Right.
So that just registered with him right away. He's like, really? And he's like, I want that. I want that. So he didn't care so much for Mutual of Omaha. He wanted the living benefits. So then I was able to get him the National Life Group. I quoted him at standard. And it came out to be like $70 or something. And he was
for
still
100K.
Yeah, at 56 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was pretty stoked. And from there, we just did the medical health questionnaire, and I got, as you're doing it, you try not to have any dead space. So what I'm learning as I'm writing the application, because when there's too much dead space, they start making excuses to get off the phone. They're like, oh, I gotta go, or I got an important phone call. Can I call you back?
Right. Yeah. So how do you fill the gaps of dead space?
So everybody seems to want to talk about themselves. So what I made a habit is just saying, hey man, it looks like you're calling me from Florida. Have you been here your whole life? Oh no, yeah man, I grew up in Broward, and then I start asking, well, what does he do for work? And then he's like, oh, I'm the medical transporter. I'm a third party ambulance service. And then he starts telling me all about that. And then as I get through the application, then I start talking about his beneficiary. I'm like, does she live with you? Then he starts talking to me about his daughter. And then his ex-wife came up into the conversation. And then after all that, I got to the end, you know?
Okay.
So you got to keep them going because what I'm finding with iPipeline, my average time is between 45 minutes and an hour. Just because you got to go through the medical health questions, you got to get them to go get their routing and account number. So
And
that
are you
takes,
getting, my question, are you getting much resistance when you get to like banking info? Or are they, I mean, obviously they're giving it to you pretty easily. You're writing a lot of applications.
yeah. So the only person I had resistance was a guy right before this call. He was a soldier, probably has PTSD. He was very skittish. Um, when it came
Okay.
to the application, he was just like, "No, sir, let me fill it out. Let me see if I get approved, then I'll pay." And I was like, don't know if that's how it works. But we ended up telling him I'm gonna call him back after this call because I had to jump on with you. But he just came. He trusted me enough that he gave me his social, but he didn't trust me enough to give me his banking. So after this call, I got to get creative and figure out how I could submit without,
Lee,
banking.
give me a call afterwards and I'll tell you how to handle that.
Okay, awesome, Jimmy.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Yeah, thanks. So that's new for me. But yeah, he trusted me. He just didn't want to give me the bank.
Okay. Isn't that funny? People will give you their social security number and then just like, it's like, you already gave me your social, I mean, might as well give me your bank account and routing number.
But I think he was very, very, what's the term? Price conscious. So when I
Yeah.
get a client that I think is very price conscious, and we're in COVID-19, I automatically assume that they're fearful for their life, but they're also so fearful that whatever dollar goes out doesn't just come out unnecessarily. You
Yeah.
know, I think
True.
that's what his fear was. I think he was just fearful that I'm going to take money that he doesn't currently have. Because
Got it.
the only reason we kept the conversation going was when I told him he has 30 days to pay. And he was like, oh, 30 days? Oh, okay, okay. But when it came to coming to take the money out, he didn't want to budge. Um,
Got it.
I even told him it won't come out till you ask us to, the first draft. And he just wasn't.
Yeah, they get to pick their own date. Well,
Yeah.
man, this has been I mean, really, really good. I mean, I really want to thank you a lot for coming on the call and sharing your success, obviously. And guys, if you're listening to this, I mean, if you're interested in getting more information about what Lee's doing, live transfers, and I'm sure Lee, if anyone wanted to reach out to you that was interested in doing live transfers, I'm sure you could, set aside a few minutes to
Naturally.
talk
I
to.
mean, yeah, I'm open door, man. I work all day. We're home. I don't go anywhere, so this is what I do.
Awesome, brother. Awesome, dude. Well, thank you so much for being on the call, man. This has been inspirational. Um,
Hey, Joe, I
Jimmy, did
have a
you have?
couple of questions.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. And then, hey, Jimmy, go ahead and ask your questions. And then if you don't mind, Jimmy, can you also quickly before we end the call, can you share your dad's success last week?
Sure, sure.
Okay.
So Lee, I wanted to ask you on the live transfers, like how many are you taking a day, or what did you purchase? What are you supposed to be receiving a day?
So right now I'm doing between 3 and 4 calls a day.
Okay, and are you giving them set hours?
Yeah, so it's kind of cool. My hours are between 7 and 9 p.m. But
Okay.
what I've actually been working is once I get my first call, if I close it, I'll pause and do some back end work, just making
Mhm.
sure the underwriting's good, they receive, just make sure everything's good. Then I'll take another call. So the vendor, just to help you learn, Jimmy, there's a lot of nuances for anybody who's going to try to do this. You want to make sure you set up. So I learned the hard way, and I don't want anybody to go through this. So when you get the vendor, they're gonna set you up. You want to tell them, when I'm on a call, I don't want to receive another call for an hour, because if you don't do that, you will continually get warm transfers even though you're already talking to a client. So that's a
Yeah.
nightmare. Then once you get off the call, if you didn't close, you can go back into the system. You can turn it yourself back on, so you don't have to wait the whole hour. And then it
Gotcha.
just resets once they give you another call. So that's pretty cool. And then typically, if you're got to go to lunch, you want to get away, kind of clear your brain, I just pause it, and I usually pause it to the next day, just in case. I've had that happen where I thought I paused it till the next morning, and it kept going till 9 o'clock. Wasn't bad. I got a bunch of sales, but I wasn't prepared. So I always make sure that I always go back in and I pause it to the next day. Just
Right.
because
So you're able to control,
yeah,
in and out, basically.
whatever you want to do, exactly. You turn on and off.
All right. And then what would you say your percentage of closing is on those transfers?
So right now, I'm looking at my data for the last 2 weeks. They give you like a little pie chart, and you get to basically say what's going on, what didn't. Um, so if I say I got 20 calls, I want to say I closed half. You're at a
Nice.
high closing rate. Yeah. I'm definitely above than what I spent, if that makes any sense. Way above.
And,
Um,
and
Hang
out of
on,
those that
wait,
you closed,
wait.
yeah.
are you closing them?
You're closing 50%?
Yeah.
Damn, dude, that's
And are you closing
God.
them on the actual transfer, or some of them you have to do some follow up? How's that working?
So right now I'm doing one call close. I've yet to close someone on a follow up. They kind of just gave me the runaround.
Okay.
But again, I mean,
Don't count on the be back bus, folks.
That's
huh?
right, baby. Be a closer.
Yeah, you got to close on the call. But I mean, I don't know, man. I'm gonna keep playing with it. I mean, I'm probably, maybe over the long run, I might be like Jordan or one of those guys at 30, 40% on the field. I don't know.
There you go, baby.
But so far I'm at 50. But that's, again, to be honest with you guys, I've been doing this for now 2.5 weeks,
Hmm.
and it's expensive for me. I don't know for others, because I had to kind of make it happen. I got to get scrappy.
Well, bro, you keep writing, $4 grand a week. That's 200,000 4 times. Yeah, that's 200,000 a year. So
Keep
that'll
that
pay
down,
some.
man. My wife's in the room. She's gonna spend it.
Oh, she needs to. She needs to know.
That way you can go write some more business.
Absolutely. Hey, Jimmy, before we're getting close to time, man, tell us about your dad's success. You said he wrote a couple of big deals last week.
I don't have a whole lot of details for you, Joe. I know that
Okay.
we spoke, I think it was Saturday last week, because we had a get together at our house, and he texted me. He wrote one over the phone for 100 and I think it was 80, 85, 89, somewhere in there, dollars per month.
Wow.
Whole life. And then I don't know, like 30 minutes later, 40, maybe an hour later, he texts me again. He says, "Hey, I got another one. This was 300 and something a month." Now, granted, on that second one, the big one, it was a Gerber. So, I mean, it was a guaranteed issue.
Okay.
But even with the guaranteed issue at $300 a month, that's a pretty nice little, paycheck.
Yeah,
And
dude, you're building up your pipeline of residual income.
yep. And so, and he wrote other business too, but I mean, that just stuck out to me that, he had those two big ones in one day on a Saturday. So that was pretty cool. As far as like the source, I think he was really just working old leads. So old direct mail leads.
Oh,
So,
good. All right. I've got some leads I need to send him to.
okay. Cool.
People in Texas I want him to call. Hey guys, one last thing. If you are interested in getting more information about what Lee's doing, live transfers, give me a call. The other thing too is that if you are interested in live transfers, you're going to be more than likely you're going to need to be licensed in more than one state. So it's helpful if you're licensed in other states. And again, I mentioned before, it's even more helpful if you can get licensed in states in multiple, not area codes, time zones. That way you can work different time zones. So, but Lee, with that, thank you so much for being on today's call. It was extremely inspirational listening to your success.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Yeah, buddy.
Appreciate
Hey,
it.
Lee, you have my number, right?
Yeah, buddy. I'm gonna go ahead and call you right after.
All right, cool. Y'all take care. Thank you.
All right, guys. All right, everybody. God bless. Have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Stay safe. Take care. Thanks, Lee.
You're welcome, guys. Bye.
Bye.